Topic number three. There's been a lot of talk on Sleeper's channel lately, on daily episodes, on segments that we're doing, on who are the top teams, right? We're doing the preseason rankings, who are the top 10. It's time to show some love to the underdogs. Not anymore, though. We miss y'all, though. We'll see y'all in a couple months. But I want to talk the most underrated team in each power conference for next season. So I want to go conference by conference,
Do
and
it.
I would like to decide as a unit, Ralph. I think we can get on the same page here. I want to pick actually, no. Let's go separate here because
All right.
I want to keep this separate because I think I'm going to choose the underrated teams that are going to be better than your underrated teams. I want to pick from obviously one team from each conference that'll be the most underrated. The one thing I'll say, we each had the chance to deny the person pulling that team if we think they're getting a little bit too greedy because that team's actually pretty good. That makes sense?
Like a Kobe Bryant projected to go like 50th and him making the list earlier.
Yeah, Ralph. Yeah. Let's start in the SEC where we won't be picking South Carolina. Who's the most underrated team in the SEC?
Who said we won't be picking South Carolina?
We will not be picking. I'm not.
Yeah, we're not picking South Carolina. I'm going with Texas A&M.
Ooh, talk to me.
The transfers that they've gotten in so far. Kenzie Mbako, who had the Indiana career, who wasn't living up to the hype, had an awesome combine though. You have Rylan Griffin, who still has some of the shine from Bama 2 years ago. Obviously, Kansas was a bit of a disaster. You do land Pop Isaacs to upgrade your backcourt. He's going to start next to Griffin and Jakari Lane, as well as coming over from North Alabama. He was one of the best players in the ASUN last year, averaged over 17 per game with 4 assists, shot 40% from three. And then you bring in Federico from Texas Tech to essentially be your starting center. That's a reliable, I think, starting five. Bucky McMillan taking over as head coach there plays a really fun system. Won big at Samford in a way Samford has not won in a very, very long time. I like him as a coach. So you have that talent, all of whom come, or most of whom come with power conference experience, and you add depth of power conference transfers as well. That's a team to me that I don't think is going to, compete for an SEC title or anything like that. But they're a team that can finish in the top half of the SEC standings, which I don't think anybody's talking about A&M doing. And it wouldn't shock me to see them pop up in the top 25, even at some point during the season.
That's a fair pick. I like that pick. I like everything surrounded by that pick. I need to know if you're going to allow this. Am I allowed to pick Oklahoma?
You are allowed to pick Oklahoma.
I'm going to pick Oklahoma as my underrated. Look, I think Nigel Pack's a sneaky ad. Get him away from Miami. He is a productive college basketball player. Xavier Brown was really impressive last year for St. Joe's. They take a not a gamble, but they get a high pedigree five-star kid in Darion Reed, who I very much believe in. I just think that it just didn't work out for him at Alabama. Tay Davis is an underrated ad. They get him from Notre Dame. He was really productive for them. And honestly, like even year two of Dayton Forsythe, for as crazy as that sounds, I thought he had moments last year where I'm kind of buying a little bit of Oklahoma being now I'm not saying underrated is like win the SEC whatsoever, but I do think that they can challenge to be a top half team in the conference.
Do you think they're better or worse than they were a year ago?
It's so hard to say because Jeremiah Fears was really good. Jalon Moore was good for them as well. I think top to bottom, they are actually better.
Okay. I don't think they are. I think they could be, but if they're not, and that team last year won 6 conference games, 7 conference games.
Yeah.
Like it's a tough needle to thread, but Porter Moser continues to find a way with the Sooners. So I don't hate that certainly.
Yeah, little more strength in numbers. And Rob, just so you know, I'm keeping track of this, by the way. Just so I'm not gonna let you get away with this. So your official pick, you're locking that in, right?
I'm joining the cult of Texas A&M. Yes.
That's hitching yourself the Bucky ball feels a little odd, but I'm gonna go ahead and just let you rock there, and I'm gonna hitch my wagon to Porter Moser.
I'm hitching my wagon to Kenzie Mbako, Rylan Griffin, and Pop Isaacs. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, there's no way. Honestly, it's a good pick for underrated though, because if that does work out, that actually is going to be very, very fun. Let's go to the Big Ten next. Who do you have as the most underrated team in the Big Ten?
So I had two real candidates for this. but I'm settled on Oregon.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna let you get away with that, but you're teetering a line here.
Well, so this is where the underrated part comes in. I think they're going to overachieve and be in the mix to contend for a conference title.
Woo. Okay. Okay.
I
Oh,
think Shellstad could be an All American. I think Biddle is going to be an All Conference big. I really like the TK Simpkins ad from Elon. I think is going to be a really good complementary piece as a number three, number four option. They added some stuff or some guys on the bench to give them solid depth as well. I think the top of the Big Ten is very good. I don't know how good the middle of the Big Ten is going to be. I think Oregon can capitalize on that and finish top three in the Big Ten, best case scenario.
hmm. Okay. That's I'll allow that as being underrated pool if you're gonna ask them to finish that high. Um, I'm gonna go with the Fighting Eli Bogetters, Betgers. I'm sorry,
Becker,
Eli.
there you go.
I still can't get that last name right. I'm sorry.
Please, the Eli Boat Getters. That's perfect.
Yeah, Eli Boat Getters is what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Washington. I like what Washington has done. Wesley Yates back in the fold on that team. I think Sprinkle's been very, very good in the portal. I like JJ Mandaquit. They have Zoom Diallo back, correct?
They do.
I like Zoom Diallo. I just think I like the pieces on that team, and I'm gonna go ahead and hitch my wagon to Sprinkle for 1 year and see how it goes. And I feel good about that. But I think that team, I think roster wise. Not saying they could challenge for a Big Ten title, but roster against other Big Ten teams, I think they got a lot of talent on that roster. So I'm gonna go with the Washington Huskies is underrated.
I'm with you. They were in contention for me as well. I thought about them and I thought about Maryland too.
I thought
But
about Maryland too. We were locked up on that one. Why didn't
settled
you?
on the Ducks though.
Okay, I get. You know what? Now that you say that, I should have not let you get away with Oregon. But let's move to the ACC. Who's the underrated team in the ACC?
NC State.
Oh, boo! That's not. No, I'm not allowing that. I'm not allowing that. Go with somebody else.
Again, what are we classifying as underrated? So what would you consider properly rated for NC State?
Actually, okay, let me hear your explanation, and then I'll decide if I'll accept it or not.
Darian Williams is awesome. I think he's exactly what they needed. I think Terrence Arsenault has the breakout season. He's been kind of teasing the last 2 years at Houston, but just hasn't had the role for. And then Trey Holloman, Allen Breed, good set complementary pieces as well. They have depth now there too. Like I think NC State's a top 15 team in the country.
15 team. Okay. I have
Is that enough? Is that enough for them to be considered underrated? My view versus where they are viewed nationally.
yeah, because you're throwing out top 15 team in the country, so I'll let that kind of operate. I had two options for this one. I'm gonna tell you the option I didn't go with. I didn't go with Miami. Thought about going with Miami, but I'm not going with Miami. Just first year head coach, I think it'll take a little bit of time. I went with good old reliable here, who has been my underrated ACC team for like the last 9 years, it seems like. I went with Notre Dame. I went with Notre Dame. Notre Dame has Marcus Burton back. I think Marcus Burton is one of the better guards in the conference. I am unequivocally a Jalen Harrelson guy. Uh, they still got Shrewsbury, the coach. They got Shrewsbury's son back, who can really light it up from deep. And also they got what's it? They got Carson Tout as well, the NAU transfer. I think is a really good rebounder. It's gonna be interesting to see kind of how he works. I feel like Notre Dame's getting him because he's shaped like Luke Herringody, but I don't know if he can do Luke Herringody things. But I'm gonna do it one more year. This is my last stand with the Irish. Micah Shrewsbury is one of the better coaches in college basketball. He needs to show it. I need to see it this year. I need to see it this year with Notre Dame. I'm gonna go with Notre Dame as the most underrated team in the ACC.
I like that. I don't think there's a ton of like real candidates in the ACC. The
Well,
ACC to me going through this was like
games. That's
the
what.
most properly rated conference because the teams who are going to be good, you generally know that they're going to be good, and the rest are just garbage.
You know what? Actually, Duke's underrated. Duke's underrated. I see Duke. I see Duke outside the top five. They should be a top five team. They're underrated.
Disagree.
That feels right. All right, let's move on to the. We have the Big 12. Who's the most
Big
underrated team
12.
in the Big 12?
Big 12, I had two. I got to pick one though. And this is, I think, going to come down to how you view Iowa State.
I no. There's no explanation. Not allowing that.
Okay.
How dare you? You got greedy.
I did get greedy
You
with
got
that one.
greedy. You gotta
Do
get.
you view Arizona as the biggest threats to Houston to win the Big 12?
No. But
There you go.
maybe.
There you go.
Arizona's underrated?
I mean, compared to where I think they are,
Okay.
I
I'll
think they're
allow
the
that.
second best team in the league.
See, I like Arizona. See, you're talking my language though, because I might be an Arizona guy as well.
Okay. If I have to go off of those two, I'm just spraying the board here. There's not a lot of great teams in the Big 12 either, secretly. Who's yours?
Oh, Baylor. Baylor. They're sleeping on my guy Scott Drew. I like Agbin, the transfer from Wyoming. I love Tunde Yesufu a lot. One of the more underrated transfers, in my opinion, is Michael Rataj, the kid from Oregon State. I think he'll be able to stretch
Okay.
the floor. Also interested to see what Baylor does, maybe too. Maybe some another late ads. I think they got Bodo, a kid from High Point as well, play at
Hmm.
center.
Yep.
Scott Drew needs to bounce back a little bit too, by the way. We got to see it. That national championships wore off super quick. All right, it's time to show some folks a little bit here.
I don't like Baylor's roster.
All right, so that's my underrated pick. There we go.
Yeah, I really don't. Um,
No Cincy love here from you. I'll allow you to do Arizona because I actually like your thought process. Like if you think they're gonna win the Big 12, which I think they
yeah.
do, but
Like
like
I don't know. I don't want to say they're better than Houston, but I think they're going to be the biggest threat to Houston. Like I think this is going to be up there with Tommy Lloyd's best teams. Like when we look back at the end of Tommy Lloyd's career. I think Jaden Bradley is a all conference player that's just been hidden by roles and having them play next to Caleb Love.
mhm.
I think he's going to break out. You get Mo Krivas back. You have a couple of stud freshmen in that lineup as well. You're going to bring Del Orso off the bench, and he did really well at the end of last year too. Like Arizona to me looks like a top 10 team in the country.
I'm with you on that one. All right, so you got Arizona, I got Baylor. So we have the SEC, the Big Ten, the ACC, the Big 12.
Big East.
Oh, I forgot about the Big East needs to pick it up this season. Who's the most underrated team in the Big East?
This one is a more traditional sense. Georgetown.
When are you gonna grow up, Brian?
What do you mean?
Go ahead, give me the pitch.
Malik Mack still awesome. Was good in his first year of the Big East. I think he takes a step forward in his second year in the Big East, making the transition from Harvard
Nets
to the
too.
Big East as a transition. He handled it well. KJ Lewis is another guy transferred from Arizona. I really like Arizona. I don't know if you can tell that or not. Really productive when he's in the game. He's just had a problem with fouls. If he gets that under control, he is somebody who can be like one of the best defenders in the country, let alone in the Big East. Langston Love coming from Baylor. I don't know what he is or how good he is, but he's been a part of winning teams and knows how to play a role. I think those three as your backcourt gives you a pretty high floor, certainly a higher floor than Georgetown has had. And then you look at the other transfers that Ed Cooley brought in. They're quality players from winning programs who are going to come off the bench for you. Like Isaiah Abraham coming from UConn. That's a swing, but he's from a UConn program. He knows what winning is. Um, Vincent Iwuchukwu coming from St. John's knows how to win, and if he can get back to what he was as a high school prospect before he suffered cardiac arrest when he was at USC, like that's a huge get. Deshaun Harris Smith didn't work out at Maryland. I think needed a fresh start. You're going to get that at Georgetown again, probably coming off the bench. This is a team that I think is deeper than a lot of people think. If they can get something from their front court, which is unproven, they're a team that can be top four, maybe even top three if things work out for Creighton in the Big East.
All right, I like the pitch. The reason I made this think about it is because Georgetown was actually going to be my pick. I'm just and my pitch was going to be that they lost Jay Neps. Like that was going to be my pitch, and that's why they're underrated. But I'll go with somebody else here. I'm gonna go with Xavier. I'm gonna go with Xavier in
Yeah.
this spot just because. I believe in Patino as a coach. They've had some underrated ads. They got all what's his name, All Right, the shooter from Valpo. They got the kid from Evansville as well, who I think has a lot of potential, 6'7", bouncy shooter. I think he can do a little bit. Um, And I'm also just kind of buying. This is a lot on just I'm buying Patino as a coach,
Yeah.
young Patino that is. I think that he's going to find success with Xavier. I think that they have some talent at that school. I like them to be my kind of my underrated pick when as they were my underrated pick last season when they had Ryan Conwell and all them. But Mr. Miller let me down massively.
Yes. Sean Miller quietly has a way of doing that
Yeah,
very
no, it
consistently.
ain't that quiet. It's loud. One day people will listen to me because I've been saying this for years. He's tricking folks. Um, but yeah, that I think that yeah, Big East that does all right. So that is
Yeah.
our underrated teams. I feel really good about those teams. I also feel really good about revisiting this and my teams being better than Ralph's teams.
A handful of my teams, like the NC State, Arizona, just teams I'm really buying this year. So if they are not like best case scenario, you're winning.
Yeah, just like you bought Houston last year, right? Let's go ahead and move on.